The graduation certificates will be presented by our Principal, Mrs. Snow, and Deputy Principal, Mrs. Brown.
When you look at the Year 5s that just came up and got their award at the beginning of this year, I know the three of us looked at our two classes of Year 6s that were just Year 5s, and we looked at each other and thought, how on earth are these kids going to go to high school at the end of this year? Because they're all little and they act young, but boy, have they changed. You're amazing. You've grown up. You've turned into almost Year 7s, and we never thought it would happen. So congratulations, kids. You're amazing.
Just before I start, I'd just like to quickly acknowledge Mrs. Kennedy and Mrs. Woods for helping me along this year. Being the new guy, especially in Year 6, they've had to hold...
Been really hard work.
They've had to hold my hand a little bit, and everyone keeps saying how busy it's been this year, so if next year's like this, goodness me, we're going to need longer holidays, but it's been terrific. Being busy is great. These kids, when they come up to get their certificate, we've got a couple of lines we're going to read about them to explain them, but we really can't summarise them in 3 lines. We've had a really hard time doing that. But we do want them all to know that we've had a terrific year. Experiences like camp, which was my first experience going on camp, was absolutely amazing. I haven't seen 58 kids come together like that and get along and just be so terrific with each other. It's a really, really inspiring thing to see. Congratulations to all the award winners. It's terrific to those people, but everyone's walking away from this school with a lot of things that can make themselves very, very proud. Going into high school knowing that they're fully prepared, not just as good academic students, but going into the community and being good contributors to society as well. It's terrific to see. First up, Ashton Ang. Ashton's been a care captain this year, and he's a favourite amongst all students in our class, both classes. He was seen during our assembly item earlier in the year, and he'd love to be a movie producer making action movies in the future.
And the next graduating student is our Dux for this year. It's not D-U-C-K-S, it's D-U-X, little kids, which means he's very clever. Luke Armstrong. Luke is our go-to man. He's very genius, but I think he's a very handsome young man, but I think he looks better when he's painted green, and his name is Shrek. He's got a very scary roar. He doesn't intend to make a decision about his future because he reckons he's got time on his side.
Our next graduate is Micaiah Caspillo. Micaiah has been a fantastic person. He's honest and open about his thoughts and feelings, and the perfect example was when we were talking about camp. I don't think I'll be going. And he goes, I don't think I can be good for a whole week. He's mad keen basketball player, and in the future would like to be an engineer or an architect.
Alex Chapman. Alex has only spent 6 months or so here at Churchlands. He's settled in really well and made lots of friends really easily, and his kind, easygoing nature make him very easy to get along with people. He hopes to become a phys ed teacher one day.
Annie Cheng. Annie is bubbly, smiley. I hear she's the class matchmaker, so I'll have to have a talk with her later and get all the goss. She's an amazing music captain, and she wisely thinks the future will take care of itself, because here and now is much more important.
Kevin Chan. In our class, it's not where's Wally, it's where's Kevin. The room, so you're always searching for him. And if you're ever short of money, his tray is full. Kevin is our class whiz kid in maths. If you weren't sure of anything, just ask Kevin. Once we caught him out as wrong, we were shocked and he was devastated. His ambition for the future is to have a well-paid job and be happy all day.
Edmund Chung. Edmund's definitely his own person. When he makes up his mind about even the teachers, his motto would be that the world has to fit in with him. He's not going to fit in with it at all. Edmund only has one seat in our classroom. It's the seat closest to the door because he has to be the first out with the basketball at recess. He's faster than a speeding bullet. He's great on computers and wants to be an engineer in the future.
Jacob Collis. Jacob has been a student councillor this year, but he's better known as being a fantastic. He's a terrific sense of humour and regularly makes me laugh out loud, sometimes when I don't actually want to, when I'm trying to be quite serious, but he cracks me up. But he's shown that he does have a serious side and he can do the right thing when he needs to. He's done a terrific job as a councillor this year, taking care of some of the big events. He hopes to become a movie actor one day.
Angela Dean. You could say Angela is a little stubborn. When she...
Cassie doesn't really like to be the centre of attention, but she's very, very funny in the class. One of her best friends, who often sits on the other side of the room so they're not talking, but they manage to communicate all day by playing charades with each other. She's a beautiful smile and a very calming influence on our classroom. She hopes to become a lawyer one day. Luke Eaton. Luke's grown into the student councillor role really well this year. He started the year past in a couple of years and he'll be well past. He loves his basketball and you can tell he's in a good mood in the classroom because he often dances in his chair. He hopes to become, and he's worth being friends with, king of the stock market in years to come. Allegra Fleming. Allegra is absolutely everywhere. Loves to talk and socialise everywhere at school, but still sets the standard for everything she does with her classwork. She brings a lot of energy to everything at school, whether it's sport, music or anything else, and she hopes to become an actress one day.
And then I move to her twin. Jordan can't help noticing, or is it a girl or is it... No, I'm joking, Jordan. Now, Jordan, out you come, because he can even tell by his walk, he's our James Bond. That's just a natural walk. We walk out of the classroom, we fall over it and everything tips out of it. He never wears his hat in the playground, but he's always got his hat on in the classroom. When he gets up at the end of the day, there is mess all around his chair. But at the same time, he's very witty. He keeps us laughing all day. In the future, he would like to be a hairstylist. And if that doesn't work out, just for something completely different, he'd like to be an environmental awareness campaign manager.
Olivia Garitza. Olivia's been a sports captain this year and she loves her sport. She's very proud of her faction and they've made a clean. One of the things I remember about Olivia though is just before she went on camp she hurt her injured her ankle quite badly and needed crutches. She had to take the crutches with her on camp and we were worried she wouldn't be able to do a lot of the activities because it's very physical. However, I distinctly remember her putting her crutches on the ground and charging up the sandhill to go sandboarding as if nothing was wrong at all. She wants to be living in Hollywood and making as many movies as an actress in her future.
Olivia Gibson. Gentle, smiling, wise Olivia and part of the art team. Very talented writer and avid reader. She's a deep thinker with well thought out opinions and ideas. In 20 years from now, she sees herself, quote, sitting alone in her back garden shed, writing and rewriting the thrilling end to her bone-chilling novel, and thinking about her frozen dinner waiting for her in the fridge.
Ash Mori. Now, Ash is one of the basketball boys, and just look at his face. He's always got a smile on it. He can never... His own strengths as being hot, shooting three-pointers, and life. Interesting. He has a permanent smile on his face, and during our assembly he had a very serious role, and we had to do 50 takes or practice to get him to actually wipe that. Is he smiling now? Oh no, he's not. He is addicted to basketball and wants his future to be all about basketball. He wants to be a star player who is forever shooting three-pointers and then a star coach.
Rachel Hugh. Rachel is also known as Little Miss Perfect and is our class comedian. She's very loud, a bit... You can always hear, we mean always hear her voice. She never stops talking. She's famous for laughing out loud at her own jokes, even when they're not that funny. In the future, her ambition is to be a singer with Isuri, and she's going to work hard to make her dream come true, as long as Isuri helps her.
Lauren Humphreson. Now, Lauren is another one of our amazing student counsellors, and she's a pretty perfect little kid. She adores dancing. And you know those new colouring books you can buy, they're all charging $15, $20 for? She could make 1 million of them because her drawings are even better. So she's our class decorator, talented writer. Her writing turns into novels, and in the future she sees herself travelling the world while working out what her career will be.
Abdili Jivanji. Abdili has a big, beautiful smile, which you can see at the moment, and it lights up our classroom every morning. He gets along with that. He's our class Pokemon champ, and again, he's worth being friends with because he plans on becoming a billionaire scientist, which sounds a bit like Bruce Wayne from Batman to me. Melissa Josic. Melissa's been a fantastic art captain this year. I don't think I've ever met a student who smiles as much as Melissa does. She'd give Ash a run for his money. To be around. She makes other people feel good just by being around her positive energy. She hopes to become a vet one day. Georgia Knights. Georgia's done a terrific job as music captain this year. She loves her music, loves her sport, just loves everything about Churchlands Primary School. And in 20 years from now, she hopes to be sitting in a limo listening to her number one album before going on stage for a concert. Owen Lai. Owen's a terrific person. He's very reliable, has a very big heart, and is always there to help someone. He doesn't do it for a pat on the back or for recognition, he just goes about and does it quietly. Dance moves, and one of the highlights of myself at the 50th anniversary assembly was his John Travolta up on stage. He hopes to become a doctor one day. Saoirse Larkin. Now, I've already talked about Saoirse's charades across the room, but she has a terrific sense of humour. She's quite creative and is hands down the mental maths champion. Where you go against another student, you have to do some mental problems very quickly, and she often wins. But she's so nice about it, she quite often gets the right answer and then turns and apologises to the person she's just beaten. She hopes to travel the world one day.
Edward Lee. Eddie is a member of Mr. Housemaid's famous music team. He loves basketball, always goes for 3-pointers, but rarely gets them. Eddie's a good word for everyone, and you can easily say everyone loves Eddie.
Anthony Young. Anthony's our class computer expert, and Mrs. Woods and I depend on him daily. He knows a lot more about computers than we do, and he's quite happy. Keen and very competitive basketball player, and he's in contention with Edmund as to who can get out the door fastest at recess and get to the sports equipment container. And kids, you'd love it because he's amazing at drawing dragons. He doodles in class and comes up with the most beautiful dragons, and in the future he would like to be an engineer.
Annika Looney. Annika has had a lot of fun this year. Quirky, bouncy, chirpy are words that describe her. She's very competitive, and being a twin has... She really wants it, and can be very persuasive and persistent, so she's usually good at everything. Annika has been a fantastic music captain. She has interesting goals for the future. Quote, to be living in a mansion with a tiger on a gold leash, or a sausage dog with a tummy that touches the ground called Daryl. Obviously, she'll be a famous architect and design these wonderful houses, not the animals.
And her gorgeous twin sister Nabila Lunik, who they couldn't be separated for the music prize because they're both gorgeous, and both part of the music team. Now Nabila is more easygoing. She's quite dreamy, she's very social, and other than all that, she's also a very high achiever. She loves the social side of school, has a huge group of friends, and is usually in the middle, surrounded by people, networking and sorting out the gossip. In the future, she wants to go to Harvard Medical School and has a dream of building a new hospital, while Daryl, the sausage dog, is living with her sister.
Emily's done a terrific job as sports captain this year. In the classroom, she's known for being quite talkative, but she's very, very funny. She loves to play silent speedball, and she's quite competitive. superheroes than any other student in the class. Her favourite camp memory was when they won the Camp Cup for having the neatest dorm. Again, a competitive side. Hopes to be working with animals one day and saving endangered species.
Isuri is a member of Mrs. Cockrell's amazing art team. We're going to miss her singing performances that she's been famous for at Churchlands Primary School since year one. My fondest memory of seeing this little girl on stage at Churchlands Has Talent, belching out the song with gestures everywhere and facial expressions and emotion. She was amazing. Her ambition for the future is to sing with Rachel, so let's see what happens. Our students in class tell us that all teachers think Isuri is perfect, but they assure us there is a very mischievous person in there, which we probably won't discover as she's leaving in a couple of days. She doesn't know what she wants to do in the future, but there's plenty of time.
Kia Mapani. Kia's been one of the art captains this year, and she's a very terrific speller, laughs a lot in the classroom, particularly if she's anywhere near Gracie. I can hear them giggling, and I know they've gotten close to each other and they're having a chat. She also loves to tell some pretty terrible jokes, but I kind of like terrible jokes anyway. She's always smiling, a very, very happy person to be around. When we have to take our class photos, we arrange the students from tallest to shortest. Kia's got the easy job. She just goes and stands on the end. Same thing I had to do when I was in primary school too. She hopes to become a forensic scientist in the future. Jessica McAuliffe. Jessica's only had a short time here with us at Churchlands, but she's a very good friend really quickly because she's such a positive and bubbly social person. She loves her running, particularly cross country, and just recently she taught me how to eat a banana properly because apparently I've been doing it wrong for 30 years. In the future she hopes to travel around the world and always be able to run.
Sam Maloro. Oh, you'll recognise Sam because in our Ninja Turtle, he came onto the stage with his sword. And Sam is a very hard-working student counsellor, but Sam has beautiful manners. He has a huge smile. He has a very kind heart. He's beautifully polite. He's just a really, really, really nice person. And in our class, he's a very steady and sensible influence. When he's a grown-up, he wants to be an inventor that invents a car that can fly and is solar-powered.
Gracie Misen. Gracie's been a care captain this year and she's perfect for that role because that's exactly what she is, very caring. Terrific ideas to share. In fact, putting the jumpers on the back of the chairs today with the levers jumpers and so on was Gracie's idea. She's always full of great ideas for us. She's always giggling if she's anywhere near Kia, and in fact all the way for 6 hours on the bus all the way up to Geraldton and 6 hours all the way back, her and Kia sat in the seat behind myself and they giggled and giggled and giggled the entire way. I've got no idea what they were laughing about, but it must have been hilarious because they didn't stop. In the future she'll be very busy. She hopes to be an Olympic bike rider, a marine biologist, a mum and a farmer. Declan Moore. Declan's another very proud sports captain. Like Olivia, he's really, really sport, such as soccer and cross-country running, and he's quite known for when our class go out for phys ed, they get sent off for a warm-up lap. Everyone does 1 lap, he does 2 or even 3 in that amount of time. He loves to dance and he's got some pretty impressive moves, which we saw on camp. He hopes to be a professional soccer player one day, but I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up being a phys ed teacher like Mr. Marshall.
Lily bounces into the classroom every morning. A word of encouragement when someone is down. She's also famous for the funny baby voices she makes, and you've probably seen them in an assembly. Lily always has the biggest smile, a great sense of humour, and is everybody's best friend.
Kai Negro. Now, Kai came to school this year, I think a week late. He hit you look at his face and it looks like butter wouldn't melt in his mouth, but down our end of the school, there's a fair bit of mischief in Kai. But I love it because he's got every single adult female in the school completely hoodwinked. Every time I go near the office, I hear one of them say, "Oh, who's that gorgeous boy with the red hair? Is he in your room in room 12? And I say, "You're talking about Kai?" He has got so much charisma. He knows exactly what to say, how to say it, when to say it. Kai, it's a great life skill. You've got it made, kiddo. In the future, he wants to be an AFL star, probably like a Nat 5.
Jerome Nichols. Jerome's a very creative person, and I like great at thinking outside the box and perhaps looking at something from a different perspective that others hadn't thought of. He loves his football, although I feel like he goes for the wrong team. And in fact, after one of the derbies earlier in the year, when the Dockers beat the Eagles, my first thought after the game, sitting in my lounge room, was, "Oh no, Jerome's going to give me heaps about this on Monday morning." He's a class Lego champ and hopes to be a pilot in the Air Force. Joel Pearce. Joel's a care captain at our school. He's one of our quiet. All the other students in the class certainly have noticed him. They always recognise him as being a very, very clever maths person, very calm, kind, caring, nice, smooth influence on the classroom. He's done a terrific job with the robotics this year, and he's a very reliable student. You give him a job, you know it's done, you don't need to follow it up. His highlight of the year was doing the business fair and spending all that time with Jude. And to be honest, I enjoyed seeing those two go at it at the business fair at the start of the year too. He hopes to become either a civil or a mechanical engineer. Jude. Jude's done a terrific job as student counsellor this year. Charismatic energy source for our classroom. At the start of the year when I got my class list, I went and checked with other teachers to say, "Oh, you know, anything I should know about these guys?" Every teacher straight away put a finger on Jude's name and said, "You're going to love him. He's going to be the star of your assembly." Everyone enjoys Jude's company as he's always full of enthusiasm, makes people laugh, and always puts a smile on everyone else's face when they're in his company. It's a real gift. The assembly's already been mentioned, but it's a highlight, and I think it's going into folklore, Jude. He hopes to be, 20 years from now, a photographer who lives in the Hollywood Hills and driving around in a limousine with Johnny Depp. Jasmine Radal. Jasmine's our energetic sports captain this year. She's very social, very friendly. However, she's very polite. Often I'll be sitting at my desk at about 20 past 8. I get a little knock on the window and I look up and there's Jasmine smiling through the window. She loves to watch Neighbours, and she got a little excited when I told her I used to watch Neighbours too. But she got even more excited when I told her that I watched a bit of The Bachelor too and we could talk about who we thought were going to win. But I only watch it because my wife does and I just happen to be in the room at the time. She's always giggling, does do a little bit of singing in the classroom from time to time too, and she hopes to be an occupational therapist. Ethan Robinson. Ethan's another one of our quiet achievers in the classroom. He's admired by everyone in our class for his kind, calm person who's always good fun to be around. When we asked the students what should we say about Ethan, everyone said he's fun, he's fun, he's fun. He loves his sport, he's absolutely soccer mad. In fact, he hopes to be a professional player one day or to make movies.